Ooh.
Loud, that was the biggest yawn I've ever seen ever.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little tired.
Oh, why?
Oh, I've been to school all week. See my school cool. Not my school cool. My cool school backpack.
Whoa! Yes,
Yep,
that's
I've been
right.
back at school.
Everyone's back at school.
But it was really hard for me because normally
Oh.
I would have like 1 hour of school Mom would make me do,
Yeah.
and the rest was playtime.
Yeah.
And it was like reverse. And school I had to do like all school and a little bit of playtime. So
Oh, well, that's fun. You get to see all your friends.
yeah, Frederick and Lederick and Jederick and
Oh,
and
the
Mick-
gang's
yeah.
all there.
yeah,
That's
we're all there. We're all having a lot of
fantastic.
fun. I hope you guys had fun at school this week with your friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
how fun. You can actually go to school again.
Really
Oh,
exciting.
wow. Well, I can understand why you're so tired.
But look, I'm happy to be here today because we've got a
good.
lot of fun coming up.
Oh, and we do. We have a really exciting week today. I mean, well, it's not a week.
No, it's a day.
It's just a day.
But we have an exciting story from Mrs. Leisha.
Oh, yes. because,
craft from Mrs.
that's
Hetty.
good. Yes,
It's
yes.
all about Joseph.
And what else are we doing? We have, singing.
Yeah,
We
singing.
got the singing.
Did you ever look at the ones in the week?
I did. And
Yep.
I've had a boogie to those. And then we have my new segment.
Oh, your news segment. I think we should go to that right now.
Oh, yes, let's do that right now.
All right, you know what it's time for.
Oh, good morning. Hi, welcome to another Allo segment. Hi, I'm just stepping outside today because it's so beautiful outside. I mean, the sun is shining. Oh, and the flowers are out in full bloom. And I've just seen this dog over here and this child. I just thought, why not step outside and have a bit of fun? But I've got 2 questions to answer, as I do each week. And make sure, if you have a question, that you send it in, okay? Because I want to answer them for you.
Do you know my
Who's
question?
this kid?
Do
Oh,
you remember my question?
yeah, what's your name? Oh, Finn. Finn, oh, hey, Finn. Yeah, I did yours last week. I'm doing 2 different ones this week. Okay, so, here we go. First question is from a Mr. Bradley Gerard. And he says, oh, Gerard. Must be French. He asks, who is the most attractive man I've ever met? Well, that is tricky. But if I had to say, one time at the airport, I met David Attenborough. And if I think about David Attenborough, he has such a kind heart. He's always caring for the animals. And I think that's a really attractive quality in someone. So, take this away with you, children. Attractiveness is not just about looks. It's about your heart and about your actions. And I think he's very, very handsome in the way that he cares for animals. So there you go. And that was a bit of like a celebrity crush thing. When I saw him, I was like, oh, David Attenborough, hello, darling. He had to go pretty quickly though. So, but that's okay. Anyway, and my second question today is from a Mrs. Dieter Baumer. And she asks, when will Mr. Coronavirus go away? Yes, that is a very good question, and one I'm sure we're all asking, because we're all a bit sick of being in lockdown. We can't go to church, can't go to school. Well, now we can go to school, but before we couldn't. So there's a lot of things that we're missing out on, and we miss our normal way of life. So, it's tricky to say when coronavirus will leave. And the scientists are working on a vaccination so that we can live harmoniously again. But they're still working on that, so it might take a bit of time. So we just have to wait and ride it out, trust in God, and really, if I've learned anything in Sunday school, it's being that God is with us even in those hard times. And we're in a hard time right now, aren't we? Because we can't go on holidays. We can't go see our friends. We can't go see our grandparents very much. So we're a bit sad, yes, but God has us, and there's a plan for us even today, even in the hard time, and He is there for us. He's on our side, so we just have to trust and wait. And maybe we could pray more. That could be something we could do and see what God wants us to do, or, I don't know. But yes, we are waiting for an injection from the scientists. My sister is a scientist. She's very smart. I'm sure she'll fix it all. But yeah, they're the 2 questions this week. Please, if you have a question, send it to me. You can put it on Facebook, or you can just email me or message me. Do what you like. I'm ready to talk. I do like to talk and I love it. And yes, thank you for your questions, Mr. Bradley and Mrs. Dieter. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roll.
Alright kids, we're going to sing a song called Remember the Lord, and there's some funny lyrics in here, so make sure you sing along with me and you listen closely. When you stub your toe, when you get out of bed and you slip in the shower and knock your head. If you miss your brekkie and your bike tires flat, if the dog eats your lunch and you step on the cat. Meow! Remember the Lord, oh, remember that He's in control. Remember the Lord, oh, He's watching His children, He cares, oh, remember the Lord, oh, oh. If you get to school about a half hour late and the principal meets you at the gate, if you can't remember 1 + 2 and you're busting for something that you didn't do, remember the Lord, oh, remember that He's in control. Remember the Lord, oh, He's watching His children, He cares, oh, remember the Lord, oh, oh. If your dad is crusty and your mum's in a flat and you spill the custard on your sister's lap, if you're into bed and you don't know why and you just can't sleep and you just want to cry, remember the Lord, oh, remember that He's in control. Remember the Lord, oh, He's watching His children, He cares, oh, remember the Lord, oh, oh. If you're hitting the skids and you're up the creek, if you're down and out and things are quick, if you're in the pits and you're out for a duck, if you're long in a tooth and you're short of a buck, remember the Lord, oh, remember that He's in control. Remember the Lord, oh, He's watching His children, He cares, oh, remember the Lord, oh, oh. Good job, kids. Have a fantastic time on the Sunday School video.
Alrighty. Time for the story. So we're gonna make sure we got our snack. I've got my snacks. I've got some muesli bars for you, Aloe, but I've got my favorite here.
Oh, thank you.
Chickpeas and coconut milk.
Oh, what a...
My favorite combo.
Okay.
So why don't you guys get a snack too, and we'll get ready for that story.
Oh,
Pretty exciting.
No, I'm not excited. I'm worried.
What are you worried for?
Joseph is in jail.
Oh yeah.
The cop guy didn't remember him.
Oh the baker didn't remember him.
I just really what's gonna happen?
I don't know what's gonna happen now. You're making me worried.
I'm so worried myself.
He's in jail.
We have to go there. We have to watch this.
All right, we'll go to Mrs. Leisha right away.
Okay.
Good morning. Last time we heard about Joseph being put into jail because the wife of Potiphar, Joseph's boss, lied and said that Joseph tried to kiss her. Joseph was in jail for 2 years. That's a long time to be sitting in jail. I wonder if Joseph was wondering if God was really with him. Remember, Joseph had helped his fellow prisoners, Pharaoh's butler and baker, by explaining the meaning of their dream. But 2 years had gone by since Joseph helped the butler, and the butler never said anything to Pharaoh about Joseph. That wasn't very nice, was it? But I guess it's an easy thing to do if you're living in a magnificent palace and when you have plenty of yummy things to eat and all kinds of fancy stuff and cool things. It's easy to forget about people who don't. And that's just what the butler did. He forgot all about Joseph in chains back there in that cold, dark prison. But God didn't. One night, Pharaoh had a dream. In his dream, he was standing by the Nile River when all of a sudden he saw 7 cows come up from the river. These were 7 big fat cows, and they began to munch on the reeds at the riverbed. But on the riverbank, rather. Then he saw 7 different cows come up from the river. These cows were all thin and ugly. They looked really hungry, like they could eat a cow. And that's just what they did. The 7 thin and ugly cows ate the 7 fat cows. Pharaoh sat up in his bed. "Whoa," he said, "that's freaky." Well, something like that anyway. But then he fell back into his bed and went to sleep. He had another dream. In this one, he saw 7 heads of grain, like wheat or something like that. They all grew from the same stem and they were all healthy and full. But then he saw 7 new heads of grain grow up from the same stalk. They were all thin and scorched by the wind. And then the 7 thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy ones. Pharaoh got out of bed again. "What was that all about?" he said out loud. The next morning, he couldn't get the strange dreams out of his head. They must mean something, he thought. So Pharaoh sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. "Tell me what my dream means," Pharaoh demanded. Oh no, how could they do that? The magicians and wise men of Egypt all huddled together in the great hall of that magnificent palace, scratching their heads, trying to figure out what to say. If they didn't come up with something quick, they might not have any heads left to scratch. Oops, thought the butler just then. It wasn't because he had spilled wine on Pharaoh again, but because he just remembered Joseph. "Your Majesty, please forgive me," he said. "I should have told you a long time ago, but back when you had the baker and me thrown into prison, there was a Hebrew slave there. We had strange dreams too, and this Hebrew slave told us what our dreams meant, and everything came to pass just like he said." "Bring me this Hebrew," Pharaoh shouted. At once Pharaoh's servants grabbed Joseph out of jail and dragged him up to Pharaoh. Now, you can't exactly go and stand in front of the king of Egypt wearing filthy rags and smelling like you haven't had a bath in 2 years. The stink would probably knock Pharaoh right off his throne, and then you would be in big trouble. And so they let Joseph shave and shower, and they gave him a new set of rags to wear. And then they brought him to stand before the great and mighty Pharaoh. "I am told that you can tell the meaning of dreams. Is this true?" "No, it is not," Joseph said. "What?" Pharaoh screamed. The butler gulped. Pharaoh was about to really lose his temper, but then Joseph added, "I cannot tell the meaning of another man's dream, but God can. Tell me your dream, and maybe God will tell me the meaning for you." And so Pharaoh told Joseph his dream. When he was finished, Joseph said, "Both of your dreams mean the same thing. God is telling you what he is about to do. The 7 fat cows and the 7 fat heads of grain stand for 7 good years. For 7 years there will be lots of rain. Your crops will overflow and there will be more than enough food for everyone. But the 7 skinny cows and the 7 thin heads of grain, scorched by the wind, stand for 7 years of famine. Do you know what famine means? It means that nobody has anything to eat. The land will dry up, your crops will wither and die, and your people will cry out for food. It'll be so bad everyone will forget the 7 good years that came before. That is what God is going to do, Joseph said. And he gave you 2 dreams to make sure you got the message. God has sent you this warning so you can be prepared. This is what you must do. You must find a wise and able man, a man who is filled with the Spirit of God. Put this wise man and able man in charge of all of Egypt. His job will be to see that enough food is saved up during the 7 good years to feed your people during the 7 years of famine that will come after. Where can I find such a wise and spirit-filled man? Pharaoh asked. Everyone looked at Joseph. Pharaoh clapped his hand on Joseph's shoulder. Where in all of Egypt could I find a wiser man than you? Surely the Spirit of God is with you, Pharaoh said. I will put you in charge of my house and all the land of Egypt. Whatever you command, it will be done. Wouldn't that be fun? Whatever you ask for, someone would do it. That's why only a very wise person should have that kind of power. Otherwise you might be commanding things like, bring me 3 dancing bears, or fill my pool with jelly, and goofy stuff like that. But Joseph was very wise. He listened to God and only did what pleased him. And so Pharaoh took the ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's hand. It was the ring engraved with the royal seal, the ring of authority and power. Pharaoh said, I set you to rule over all the land. From now on, in all of Egypt, only I will be greater than you. And then he had Joseph dressed in the finest royal robes, and he put a gold chain around his neck. Can you see that? And to think, just the day before, Joseph was wearing a whole different kind of chain, sitting in the dust and dirt of a dark prison. How quickly things can change when God is in charge. When things are bad, it seems like nothing but troubles. You just never know what surprises God has waiting. I am Pharaoh, ruler of all of Egypt, Pharaoh said to Joseph, and this day I declare that no one shall lift as much as a finger unless you say it's okay. Pharaoh gave Joseph the chariot of his second in command, and wherever Joseph went, a guard went before him, calling, All hail, all hail. And so Pharaoh made it known throughout all of Egypt that Joseph was in charge. And Joseph was only 30 years old when he was made Prince of Egypt. After all that Joseph had been through, all the ups and downs, all the troubles, look where God had put him. Pharaoh also chose a wife for Joseph, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. They're funny names, aren't they? And God blessed Joseph with 2 sons. The first Joseph named Manasseh, which means you will forget, because Joseph said, God has helped me forget all the troubles I had. His second son Joseph named Ephraim, which means be fruitful, for God has made me fruitful in the land that once brought me trouble. And for the next 7 years the rains came, just as God said they would. Maybe it looked something like this. The crops of Egypt grew and grew, and when each harvest came, Joseph did just as God told him to. He went all around Egypt, gathering up the overflowing food. In each city, he gathered up the food from the fields around it and stored it up in barns for the years of famine that were coming. What a valuable lesson to learn. You can be as wise as Joseph. For most people, there will be good times and there will be hard times. When times are good and God blesses you with more than you need, don't go crazy and use it all up as fast as you can. Instead, save some of it. Set it aside, and then you will be ready when hard times come. That's just what Joseph did. God blessed the land so richly that soon there were mountains of grain, and it was like the sand of the sea. There was so much that Joseph finally gave up even trying to measure it. But one day the rains stopped, and next week we'll hear about what happened. Bye.
Good morning, kids. Welcome to Sunday School Craft. It's really wonderful that you can be with us again today. And it's so great that you've had a whole week at school already, where you can catch up with friends, play in the playground, see your teachers, and learn so many things. I want to thank Mrs. Leisha for the story today about Joseph and the Pharaoh and the Pharaoh's dream, and how God enabled him to be able to tell Pharaoh what the dream meant, which saved thousands of people and even his own family, which we'll learn about much later. But for the moment, we'll talk about Pharaoh's dream. So we've got these dream bubbles, that's what I call them anyway, and we've got the fat cows and the thin cows. So you can cut them all out and then glue them on to the thought bubbles. And then that explains the lean years and the years where they had plenty to eat. So that's a fun craft. You can colour them all in. And then here we've got a picture that you can colour in. And Joseph was placed in command of all of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. And there's Joseph, and he's in charge of collecting all the grain and putting it away, storing it for when the lean years would come, so that he could feed the whole country and lots of other countries and lots of people too, including his family. So they're really good. And now we've got another picture that you can colour in, and it's about Joseph in Egypt, and it's all the little words that you can fill in there. And it's from Genesis 41. So you can fill those in. You can look up the Bible verse if you want to fill them all in, or just ask Mum and Dad to give you a hand. So that's really good. So with Pharaoh, they used to build all these different pyramids, and the pyramids were built as a tomb for the pharaohs. And they preserved their bodies, and so they'd be looked after for the afterlife. So today I thought what we could do is make some mummies, some mummy sausage rolls. So what we've got, all you need is some sausages, like this, some puff pastry, like this, and to make them, what we need to do, I'll just put those out of the way, is use a ruler, but make sure you wash it first, because if it's been in your school bag, it could be a bit yucky. So we cut this pastry into about 1.5 centimetre strips. Just keep cutting, like that. And then we grab the sausages. I have washed my hands. Make sure you wash your hands too, kids. And then you can grab the sausage, and we can just give it a little twist like that for the head. And then we grab the pastry in the strips, and we can just wind it around and around and around. And we just keep rolling it around any which way you like. That looks a bit like a mummy. If you have a look on the computer, you could look at museums, and then you could see what the mummies look like, because they preserved them that well, but they're still around today, thousands of years later. So you get the idea, and you can just sort of squash it a bit to make it look like a body and make it a little bit thinner for the legs. But here's some that I prepared earlier. See? And they look really good. And the Only thing you have to decide when you finish making them is, do you start at the head or at the feet? Have a great week at school this week, kids. Enjoy making your mummy's sausage rolls, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. That's all for now. Bye.
Oh, what are you worried about?
Well, I shouldn't have been worried.
No,
Hey.
It does seem weird. Joseph was in jail,
I was worried about that.
but then he was put in charge of Egypt.
I know, and
That doesn't make sense to me.
they're
Does it make sense to you?
It's two opposite things.
Yeah, you don't go from jail to be in
No.
charge of Egypt.
No.
It seems like someone was working.
It must have been God.
Oh yeah,
Yes!
God's plan is working out.
God's plan, and you know
Right.
what? It is so relevant for us today.
Oh yes, because sometimes I think, and maybe you think this too, the stories are a long, long time ago. And I forget that God's still with us now. And He's still working in our hearts. And He's got a plan for us.
Now, today, you sitting there, you!
You!
He has
and
a plan for you.
And you. Me.
Me.
Not you.
No,
me.
you, me.
You.
Me.
And
Me,
you.
you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
you.
does. And you know what? We can be in those places, those dark places of like jail. It doesn't have to physically be jail, but just those really hard times when you just think that how can God be with us?
But He is.
But He is.
Always working out His plan.
Oh, I just love that. I just feel like going,
And we're part of that as well. That's the exciting part. That we're part of that.
be a part of that. This is good news. I'm feeling quite happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you've had fun today, kids. We want you to send in any questions you've got to Allo for Allo.
Oh, yes, please do.
And
Please
we
do.
want to see your crafts because all we got is this book that I wrote. We're only this is the show today.
You didn't write that.
Oh no, that's not my book. Maybe I'll put my book there next week.
We don't need to see that.
no.
Anyway, yeah, so don't forget your coins, don't forget your questions, send in your crafts.
Yep, and there's more songs on the YouTube
Oh,
channel this
check
week
it
as well.
out. Both
So you
Mom
can-
and Dad. Be like,
Yep.
Mom, Dad, I want to sing
Right.
some songs.
You might be at school, so you've got a bit less time, but you know, in the afternoon after school, you might feel like worshiping.
Yeah.
Or in the morning
Oh,
when
yeah.
you wake up.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, kids. Well, we can't wait to see you next week. Until
Yeah.
then, I'm Lanolin Ferry.
And I'm Aloe Vera.
No, you hang up.